Hello and welcome to AirgunWeb.com and our series called Take Aim. When you ask most serious airgunners what mounts they prefer to use on their guns, you're probably going to hear one brand more often than others, BKL. When you hold a BKL mount in your hand, you know right away that they are just different, and they really are. They auto-center on odd-sized dovetails, they hold like iron without scope stops, and they even have some with built-in barrel droop compensation. And that's our topic for today. Now, you can get links and more information about this episode on my site at www.airgunweb.com. Just look for the Take Aim section on the site. Let's go ahead and get started. Most newer airguns come with some way to manage scope slippage. They either use a hole in the receiver and a stop pin in the mount, or they use some type of scope stop. So what do you do if you have a rifle that doesn't have anything to manage scope slippage due to recoil? Well, if that was our only problem, we'd be pretty golden. A heavy-duty set of two-piece mounts with the scope stop behind the front mount would allow the scope to sit back far enough and still hold everything in place. Now let's add to the equation serious barrel droop. Now what do we do? There are other droop compensation mounts out there, but they all need stop pins to prevent slippage, and our rifle doesn't have any holes in the receiver. Fortunately, BKL has a solution that solves both problems. Now I have here my personal Tech Force 89, and I really like this gun. I always have. I've rebuilt it a few times, and I've got it really performing just the way I like. Unfortunately, I've just never been able to get a scope to hold properly. That was until now. The model BKL-260D7-MB, and I know it's a mouthful, but the link's on my site, is a heavy-duty one-piece mount for 1-inch tube scopes. It has built-in barrel droop compensation and will hold on the receiver of almost any spring gun without needing a scope stop or stop pin. So I've got the new BKL mount all installed and snugged up. But how do I know it's going to really hold in place? Well, here's a little trick I learned from some folks online back when I was dealing with the RWS lockdown mount. You're going to take a standard lead pencil and mark all the points on the receiver and the scope that could show movement. Now when you shoot your rifle, you'll know if you've solved the problem. So I mark here and here on both sides, and I also mark here on the rings, and I've already marked this, so I'm not going to mark it again, and that's going to let you know if you have any movement when you shoot the gun. Now, I've shot this gun for a while now. I actually lost track of how many pellets I've shot for this video. And as you can see from these images, we're still rock solid. And that's what you should get with BKL mounts. BKL doesn't just create specialty mounts that solve problems like I have with my Tech Force 89. They make all manner of mounts for air guns. Pyramid Air has about 54 separate BKL inventory items, so I bet you can find the right BKL mount for the job. So if BKL mounts are that good, why doesn't everybody use them all the time? Well, that's a pretty good question, and primarily it's because of their cost. The BKL mount I used for this video costs about $57, and that's pretty close to 3 times the cost of a more generic mount. But regardless of the cost, let me tell you why you're going to want to consider BKL for your next airgun project. You can have a really accurate gun and a great scope. But if what marries the two together does not hold correctly or is out of alignment and requires you to be at the outer edge of your scope's adjustment, then you've reduced the effectiveness of your airgun. What makes BKL mounts special is that they automatically align perfectly centered on your receiver. And this helps you get on target and stay on target. When I talk to folks about BKL mounts, I use the phrase, "they hold like iron," and I really stand by that. I've always been happy with the results when I use BKL. So when you're putting together your next airgun package, or if you're working on an old favorite like I was, be sure to take a look at what BKL has to offer. Well, this wraps up another episode of Take Aim. I'd like to take a moment and thank the folks over at BKL Mounts for providing the products for this review, and of course Pyramid Air for their continued support of this series and our channel. Please be sure to visit my site, www.airgunweb.com, for a list of all the items we used in this video along with their links. Until next time, this is Rick Utzler with AirgunWeb.com. Thanks again for watching.